I am going to take some of Call Me Crafty Owl's Sheetload of Sketches and use some scraps and make some quick batches of cards. Hey guys, it's Beth, welcome. I have pulled out several sketches from Call Me Crafty Owl that they're like the Sheetload of Card sketches, and they would work well with scraps. So I have decided to pull them out and pull out my fall and Halloween scrap bag and see what kind of cards we can put together. So I will do this as a process video, but I'll probably be doing some prep work off camera, or maybe I'll make one card with you, do the cutting and make a card with you, and then kind of do the rest off camera, just because I do have one. It's got the February 2022, November 2020, May 2020, October 2021, and August 2021. So that's 5 different sketches. So we'll see what kind of process I can work in here for you guys. But I just thought I wanted to play with some scraps, and I've been meaning to use the sheet load, so I thought I would do it with y'all. So hope you guys enjoy. My first sketch is the February 2022 sketch, and I just have a random matte mix of thin strips that I'm working with, and they're about the width that I need. I just need to, well, some of them aren't, I guess, here, but I'm just making sure they're the right length. And off to the side there, I'm kind of grouping them together based on how I think they might work together in my card. I will link Call Me Crafty Owl's YouTube channel in the description box below, and if you are a subscriber, you can get access to her monthly sheet loads as they come out. If you join her channel as a member, you can get access to the archived sheetload of card sketches. They are all available within her YouTube channel right now. You just have to kind of search them, go back through all the videos and find each month. However, if you do join her channel, then you, as a member, you can get the archived versions, and so they're easier to come by. I've got 3 strips here that I'm adding to my first card. I put them on a black mat, and then I'm adding them to an orange card mat, and then onto my card base. I do add strips or scraps of some kind to the inside of each card. This one I just had a tiny bit of that Halloween spiderweb strip. I pulled out some die cuts from my stash and then a simple Happy Halloween stamp, and I'm using an orange, smaller and thinner orange strip that's going to go across the front of my card, and I decided since it's light enough I can stamp directly on there. And then I spend some time fiddling with the spider and spiderweb, trying to figure out the exact perfect spot for them. I'm adding glue to just all the points where the spider web intersects. Otherwise, I would just be gluing forever on all those thin little strips. Once I get that down, I can add my spider. This was a fun card. I had a lot of fun with this very first card. It was a great jumping off point to get me going. There's a little bit of gold in the webs on those pattern strips, and so I remembered I had a piece of gold cardstock, and so I just decided to punch some small circles out of that and add them up here on the right hand corner, just for that extra little touch of shine. First card is done. I ended up making 7 cards with this sketch, a mix of Halloween, fall, Thanksgiving. Next up is the November 2020 Sheetload of Cards sketch. I've just got my pile of scraps over there, and it's a kind of a random mix. There's some Halloween, some fall, and I'm just trying to figure out, based on the width of the scrap, like which part of that grid it would work for. So I've got a set of piles up there in the right hand corner, kind of going off screen, and I'm just starting a pile for each part of the grid, and then at the end I'll kind of go through and piece together, you know, the different grid groupings that I want based on the pieces I have. So here's where I kind of start to put those together. I'm just trying to get an idea of the different pieces I have and what I need to have some more of. So now I've got the matte piece that the sketch calls for, and then you can see all of my little grid layouts up there, and we will put one together. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I like to add my ATG to the back of as many pieces as I can at the same time. It's a time saver for me when I'm making big groups of cards like this. So got my grid together. Now I can embellish it. I found this Happy Fall Y'all. It's a sentiment I already had stamped. I decided I wanted to add another matte behind my grid piece there, so I will get all of these put on. And this one was actually like, there's a mix. There's what I consider a Halloween print and a fall print, and then just a kind of generic orange. So I went with fall, and then on the insides of the cards, I am trying to use up some of those smaller scraps. So from the sketch, I ended up getting 12 cards. Again, another mix of fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween. I used a lot of vinyl stickers that I had cut for myself last year or the year before, as well as some die cuts that I had in my stash. Third sketch is the May 2020 sheet load, and I have some bigger scraps here. They are probably about 5 by 6-ish, somewhere around there. So I'm just going to start by cutting them down to the starting size that the sketch calls for, and then I will come back later and cut them up into the different grid pieces. So now I'm jumping to the strips that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them down as well. And I'm going to start building the piles of, like, for the grids, kind of like I did with the last sketch, kind of up there at the top part of my trimmer, just so I can keep all of the various pieces together, and then I will come back and mix and match later. And I get to the point where I'm trying to see which sizes I can get out of each strip. So here I've got those strips all cut down into the various grid parts, and now I'm going to cut down these rectangle pieces. And this is more in line with the sketch, you know, like the original sheet load process, as if you had cut down whole pieces of paper. All of my scraps are cut down now, and I can start building my grids with the various patterns. I've got a matte piece here, and then we'll go ahead and add adhesive to the back of them, again doing all 4 pieces at once with my ATG. And then we'll come in and lay them down. So I do use ATG on, like, these parts where you might have to move pieces around to get them in the exact spot you need them to be in. And as long as you don't rub them down, you do have some time to move. Like, the glue won't take hold right away. Like, there's some time, as long as you don't, like I said, rub them down real hard or press them down real hard, you can still move them around. So some people like to use wet glue for these, but I tend to have better luck with my ATG. So I've got a sentiment that I had, I think, printed out sometime in the past and had left in my stash, and just adding it to a brown cardstock circle. and I've got a strip that I'm going to put on the inside of the card, and that's it for now. From this particular sketch, I got 11 cards. Again, a mix of fall and Halloween sentiments, and just used various bits and pieces from my stash. Sketch number 4 is the August 2021 Sheetload, and this one was kind of a nice change of pace at this point because I'd been working with all those little grid pieces or smaller strips. This one allowed me to play with some bigger pieces, or at least leave them as bigger pieces. So one of the things I do in the beginning is try and figure out, based on the orientation of patterns, which part of the sketch they might, or which piece of the sketch they would work best for. So I've got that kind of leafy, the turquoise leafy pattern, and I was like, okay, so that needs to be the horizontal piece, and then the Halloween strip that I cut down at first I knew was going to have to be a vertical piece. So I've got a few pieces cut down, and I wanted to go ahead and get a card put together with you guys. And some of them I matted, some of them I didn't, some of them I matted just certain parts. This one I decided to go ahead and matte both pieces with some white scrap cardstock that I had, and I'm adding those to a black card mat. And again, we'll go ahead and glue down these layers onto the matte layer, and then would add both of those to the black card mat. On this particular sketch, I kind of went through halfway through cutting all of the scraps and made sure that I had an equal number of the vertical and the horizontal pieces before I got too far into it. So I had that big scrap there, and rather than cut it down, I just decided to go ahead and use the whole scrap on the inside. So I put it at the top so it wouldn't affect the writing on the card in the normal spot where you write on the card. I have a pack of ephemera from Echo Park that's a Halloween theme, and was looking to see if there was anything that I could use. And then I have a random pack of die cuts from Michael's there, and end up going with this little witch silhouette that I had cut from some scrap vinyl at one point, and then one of the Echo Park ephemera pieces for my sentiment. From this particular sketch, I got 10 cards, and this one was fun to add embellishments to. This was a fun sketch. The fifth and final sketch is from October of 2021, and this is the perfect sketch to use some of those wider scrap strips that you have. You're just going to be doing some tearing. So all I had to do on these was just make sure that they were 5 inches long, and the width didn't matter quite as much because I could tear them, you know, you can always come back and tear a little more if they are too wide to start with. So I just took these 2 strips to start with for my very first card, and am adding them to a black card mat. Some of the torn parts overlap. That's fine by me. I have a little vinyl sticker that I had made out of some scrap vinyl a while back, and it's that cute little pumpkin with the face. And just going to add that to a scrap piece of white cardstock. And the sketch has like a ribbon detail behind your embellishments. I'm not going to be using ribbon. I'm just going to be using like cardstock pieces, and I end up kind of, some have strips, some have whole pieces, some I piece together like this, some I just crisscross. I wasn't really worried about matching that element exactly. Some of them don't have it at all, so it just kind of all depended on the embellishments I was using, the color combination of the papers, and what kind of scraps I had. So add my cute little pumpkin guy there, and then I just have a simple Happy Halloween sentiment that I stamped and just going to glue that down, and I can add my card mat to a card base. And then of course I will be adding some scraps to the inside as well. And there's my first card. And then I ended up getting 13 cards from this sketch. So this sketch went the quickest as far as making the card fronts, but for some reason I had a harder time finding embellishments for this one. But it was still another fun sketch to play with, and like I said, great for those strips. Okay, so I took 5 sketches, a bunch of scraps, and made 53 cards. I know I didn't necessarily make every single card with you on camera, but I did kind of show you like my thought process on how I was cutting the scraps and kind of putting them together. And so a lot of that was just going to be repetitive, so I did that off camera, but I did show you the finished cards. And so my main point was to show you that you can use scraps on sheet loads. Sometimes it depends on the sheet load. Some are better for scraps than others, but I found 5, and I'm sure had I gone through and thought about it even more, I could have come up with some more sheet load sketches that you could use scraps for. So a couple things to note: I did not cut into any new pattern paper or any new cardstock other than what I used for my card bases. I did cut card bases, but any of the mats I used were scrap cardstock or pattern paper that I cut down to be mat size. All of the pattern paper I used, you know, for the main parts of the card were pattern paper. I used scraps to stamp on for sentiments, and for the inside of card, the inside of every single card does have scrap paper in it. And then was also trying to use up some embellishments, and I did. I used up a bunch of fall and Halloween embellishments, a lot of random stuff too, which is good. This was a really good exercise. Not only did it help me use up scraps, it kind of challenged my thinking a little bit, and it helped me to use up embellishments, and now I have a bunch of fall and Halloween cards to donate, so that's always a win too. So anyway, I also hope it gave you a new way of thinking of Call Me Crafty Al's Sheetload of Cards. Hope you guys enjoyed and got some scrappy inspiration from this. Thank you so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.